That's right. Yes, we were. Oh, buenos dias a todos. We were just saying, we need to be constantly reminded. Review. Whenever you're too hard on yourself
Right.
for learning stuff or forgetting stuff, or keep in mind, review is a constant process when you're
And
looking at language.
it's important when you're learning any language, but it's also important when you already know. So, I mean, in English, I have to go look words up in the dictionary. I forgot what they meant. And
Oh yeah, especially if you
know,
don't, if you, it's not something you encounter a
right.
lot
Yeah.
or
I'm
use a
reading a
lot.
book right now that I have the dictionary open right next to me because it's been so long since it's a book on infectious diseases, and it's like I can't remember what that means. I have to look.
Yeah. If any of you ever get those little what is it? Is New York Times or whatever, day of the word of the day kind of thing,
Yeah.
English words. And then you get, it does a little definition every day. And you think, I've read this word a million times, whatever that word for the day happens to be. And it's like, I know it, but what does it really mean? We all have things like that. It depends on what you use. And with some of the structures that we hear with Spanish or really any other language, I'm sure, there are some structures that you are going to be more comfortable with in speaking because they're things that you use a lot. And then there are going to be other things that actually you should know, but you may only need to know it more in a listening comprehension context, or it may be more important for you to know from a listening comprehension context, but maybe you don't need to use it a lot speaking. So, and it's one of those things, those listening comprehension important things may start to bleed over into your speaking, but it may take quite a bit of time and a lot of repetition. It's a lot of repetition.
I don't know about anyone else, but I'm in the interest of full disclosure. There's got to be, I don't know, a couple of hundred words that we've gone through in our Spanish classes here many times. I don't think thousands of times yet, but many times. And I still look at them and go, God, I should know what that means right off the top of my head. But I just got to look it up. And it's just, I don't know if that's age or just not enough repetition in between sessions or what. But
a lot of it is.
I admit to having that problem.
Yeah, this is a universal thing. It really is. It is a universal thing. I find it with myself, because I do this just very smattering sort of studying with other things. And a lot of times it's like, I recognize this, but if I have to absolutely pin it down to what it is, what it means, it's kind of a tough one. So yeah, it's a universal issue. A lot of it is an input issue. One of the philosophies with the Dreaming Spanish channel is, and I joined a couple live events they did to see what people were putting in the chat boxes. A lot of people started comparing how many hundreds of hours of listening practice they had via the channel.
Wow.
Because they have certain goals you're supposed to meet. You hit 500 hours of listening, you're supposed to be able to understand this kind of stuff. You hit 1,000, it's better. And it gets into the thousands and thousands. And people started comparing how many thousands or hundreds of hours they have listening. But the philosophy behind that is that input is king. And that has been with the listening comprehension field of learning language. Input. When you're a baby, the philosophy is when you are a baby, from the time you are born to the time you start speaking, is roughly about, when do kids start speaking? 9 months. If they're very precocious, they may have a first word, and it's not going to be a really a real power packed punching word. It'll be the mama dada stuff. Year and a half, kids start producing language, really putting together sentences about 2 years. So then you think, oh, well, I've been doing this for 2 years. I should be this. Those babies who are doing it, it is 24/7. Every
Right.
waking hour, they have that input. So that is a big, big difference. And then you think about the kind of sentence a 3-year-old can put together versus the kind of sentence a 6-year-old can put together. That's the way the human brain works. So that philosophy of thought with the comprehensible input is it really does just take that amount of time of constant exposure to have it become naturally a part of your thought process. And that will always be different. Some people will be quicker with it. Some people will be slower with it. And there's everything in between. So
Well, now I feel smarter than a 3-year-old.
Well, you guys are all doing way better than 3-year-olds. So pat yourselves on the back. Way better. Yeah. And then the other caveat is they always say when you're learning languages, never compare yourselves to other people. I know it's inevitable because we do this to ourselves, but everybody will absolutely go at different rates. So go, you just got to go with what works for you. That's what works. That's what's good. Okay. Bueno. Yes. Sign up for winter classes that start in January is going to begin next Monday, a week from today. So do make note of that, because I know some of you may take some kinds of classes that, may be in person and fill up and then have a cutoff. So if you're in one of those kinds of classes, in addition, be aware of that. Scottsdale residents, 8 a.m. Registration opens up on the 27th, Monday, the 27th. Okay. Non-resident, it'll be Tuesday, 8 o'clock. Aquí vamos. Here we go. We're going to do some cleanup on those tener idioms. These are the many, many idioms. And these are some of the idioms that, you may very well be in the boat of, well, I should know what this means, or you may use ser or estar with some of these ideas, but you really need to use tener. And we just need to kind of get familiar and hopefully not memorize, but familiar with the kinds of phrases that use tener idioms. English will not use tener, have. It will generally say somebody is, I am, you are, he is, they are. Ok, y vamos a practicar los últimos ejemplos aquí con expresiones o modismos. Se dice en español modismos. En inglés se dice idioms. Son frases que no se puede traducir. They are sentences that you cannot translate because in your native language of English, they will not sound natural. Nobody says, I have sleep, I have cold, I have coldness. You say, I am cold. And, these cold, hot, and hungry things are especially tough for beginners because I am cold. A lot of people say, wait a minute, isn't it ser estar? With I am cold, I am hot. But no, a beverage, we do use estar with a changeable temperature beverage. Estar. El café está caliente. El café está caliente. The coffee is hot. But when you talk about people feeling hot, they do, in the world that speaks Spanish, they do think of it literally as I have heat, I have cold. That's the way it works. They think that way because that's the verb they use in their language to express that. So, tener sueño, to be sleepy, tener frío or tener calor, to be hot or to be cold, a person feeling hot or cold. Tener sed, to be thirsty, right? Tener dolor de, to have some kind of an achy body part, okay? And that tener dolor de is a little bit easier for English speakers to remember, but some of these others can be tricky. Bueno, y aquí tenemos ejemplos de frases y vamos a explicar o añadir, we're going to add in, añadir ideas para terminar la frase. We're going to add in ideas to end the sentence. Tengo sueño cuando, tengo sueño cuando, por ejemplo, tengo sueño cuando monto en bicicleta más de 15 millas. Tengo sueño cuando monto en bicicleta más de 15 millas. ¿Bien? Ok.
Bien, sí.
Vale. Otro ejemplo. Different example.
I have one, but it's really simple.
Bien.
I said, tengo sueño cuando bebo una cerveza.
Excelente. Sí, sí, claro. Buen ejemplo, buen ejemplo. Algo muy... Tengo sueño cuando son las 11 de la noche, por ejemplo. I'm sleepy.
Sí.
Yeah, when it's 11 o'clock. Así, sí, Cindy.
Yo tengo sueño cuando yo leo mi libro John Adams.
Es un libro bastante grande, ¿no? Es un libro muy largo, muy largo. Sí, muchas veces hay muchas personas que leen antes de dormirse, before falling asleep, sí, porque tenemos sueño después de leer un poquito por la noche, ¿no? Bien.
Sí.
Bueno, otro ejemplo. Tengo sueño cuando.
So I have the duh one. Tengo sueño cuando no dormí bien.
Sí, tengo sueño cuando no dormí bien. I am sleepy when I did not sleep well, like the night before. Sí, eso, sí, perfecto, perfecto. Bueno, Lori.
Mine's very similar. Tengo sueño cuando no puedo dormir durante la noche.
Excelente. Sí, 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 la misma idea, pero otra manera de expresar la misma idea. Excelente, excelente. Hay más ejemplos con tengo sueño. Tengo sueño cuando, tengo sueño cuando tengo que escuchar las historias de mi cuñada, when I got to listen to my sister-in-law's stories. Tengo sueño cuando ella no va a escuchar este canal. She's not going to listen to this channel. Puedo decirlo. I can say
Say that
it.
again so I can hear it again. OMG.
Sí, tengo sueño cuando tengo que escuchar las historias de mi cuñada.
Sí, gracias.
Eso sí. Tengo sueño, o por ejemplo, tengo sueño cuando hago mucho ejercicio. Tengo sueño cuando trabajo muchas horas. Cuando tengo trabajo físico. Sí, tengo sueño después. Bueno, ok. Tener sueño, to have sleepiness. Yeah. Y recuerden, remember, un truquito, a little trick. Sueño is one of those words that is used in a bunch of different, well, a couple different ways. I'm not going to say a bunch, a couple. Tener sueño, sí. Pero sueño también es dream. ¿Sí? Por ejemplo, tengo sueño, I am sleepy, pero también tengo un sueño, I have a dream. Okay, so it sueño can mean to have a dream of doing something. ¿Sí? Por ejemplo, mi hija tiene sueños de ser artista algún día. Por ejemplo, ¿sí? Bien. So sueño can also talk about dreams, literally dreams. And people may use it to talk about their goals. You know, you have a dream of doing something with your life or something of that nature. Okay. Tener frío o tener calor. Sí, tengo frío porque. Tengo frío porque. Tengo frío porque es otoño. Fácil, ¿no? I am cold because it's autumn. Oh, otro ejemplo. Hay
I
otro
have
ejemplo.
one with, and I had two questions with this too. My first one is, would tengo frío, would I say still tengo frío or would I say tengo fría?
Tengo, buena pregunta. Siempre tengo frío. Always tengo frío. Even if you're a woman, we use it as frío because, and this is one of those key things of understanding the actual grammatical structure. Frío here is not really a condition describing yourself. Frío is coldness. It is not a description like es una bebida fría. It's a cold drink. Es una bebida fría. It's a cold drink. Then fría has become feminine to talk about bebida, drink. Pero contener, with tener, frío is operating not as an adjective, but as a noun. Yeah, these things are nouns. Sueño is a noun. Sleepiness, I guess you could say literally. Frío, cold, the thing that is coldness, okay? Not a description. So it would never be tengo fría, even if you're a lady. Yeah, sí, eso es. And that is why when we say very with these ideas, I am very sleepy, the very word has to look at this sueño word, which is a noun. Entonces, I am very sleepy, tengo mucho sueño. Tengo mucho sueño. And mucho looks at the word sueño to get its form. Okay. Tengo mucho frío. Tengo mucho frío en enero. I am very cold in January. See? So if you use an intensifier, very cold, very sleepy, it's got to look at that noun. Yeah. And that word will always be frío, even if you're a gal. It will always be sueño, even if you're a gal. Okay. Bien. Vale. Hay otro ejemplo aquí con tengo mucho frío, Mark.
Well,
¿Sí?
could I just, actually in my sentence, what I
Sí, sí.
wasn't sure how to say was, I wanted to say, la temperatura es en 50s. Like, how do you say like the temperature is in the 50s?
Cuando la temperatura está a 50. When the temperature is at 50.
And you would
Está a
use
50.
está,
Está a 50. Sí.
not es. No es.
Está. Because it fluctuates a lot. Yeah.
Okay, but whenever, like, say you're saying the temperature is 50, then it would be la temperatura es 50?
Es 50. Está. Often está. Because it is something that fluctuates a lot. Yeah. Sí.
Okay.
Estar a. Bien. Okay.
Okay.
Buena pregunta. Buena pregunta. Marco, sí.
Well, here's my real life example for today. tengo frío cuando me pongo hielo a la rodilla.
Ah, sí, al recuperar, sí, cuando me pongo hielo, cuando pongo hielo en la rodilla, when I put ice on my knee, when I ice my knee. Eso, sí, perfecto,
Mm.
perfecto, buen ejemplo. Otro ejemplo con tengo mucho frío o tengo frío.
Could I ask about a question about Mark's example?
Sí, sí.
So you said la rodilla, not mi rodilla.
La rodilla, la rodilla. You hear once in a while, mi rodilla, if there's somebody's really emphasizing, oh, my poor knee. But usually la rodilla. Usually with body parts, we tend to go just with el, la, los, las. ¿Sí?
Okay,
Um,
thank you.
sí. Bien. Vale. Hay otro ejemplo aquí con tengo frío, porque.
Tengo frío. Oh, I forgot. Tengo frío en la mañana cuando yo salgo de mi casa.
Eso, sí, sí. Perfecto, perfecto. Bueno, okay. Okay. And here we're going to take a look at what happens if you intensify this. La mejor bebida cuando tengo sed es. La mejor bebida cuando tengo sed es. If you intensify sed, you cannot tell from S-E-D. Sed is thirst. Okay, so we have thirst. So sed is not thirsty, it is thirst, the thing that is thirst. And because you wouldn't really know from the spelling of that, but it's a feminine word. So if you want to say, I am very thirsty, right? Mucha sed. So here's an example where the intensifier, mucho sueño, mucho frío, pero mucha sed. Mucha sed, because thirst is a feminine noun. Okay, vale. Bueno, la mejor bebida cuando tengo mucha sed es
Los cervezas.
es la cerveza. Es la cerveza.
No,
Sí.
los cervezas.
Las cervezas. Plural. Ok, vale, bueno. Bien. La mejor bebida cuando tengo mucha sed es agua. Sí, agua aquí en el desierto. Sí. Si estamos caminando en el desierto, es buena idea no tomar mucha cerveza, sino agua, but rather water. Ok, dale. Bueno, la mejor bebida cuando tengo mucha sed o tengo sed es... Otra idea. No. Bien. Ok. Y tener dolor de. And here we need that little bit because when something hurts, when a body part hurts, we're generally going to name what hurts. Okay.
Can I ask you a question right before we kind of get into the example? So when would you use tengo dolor de versus me duele?
They come from the same kind of base word. Sí, ¿cuál es la diferencia entre me duele y tengo dolor de? No hay mucha diferencia. There isn't much difference in when you would use them. It is more the question of how you use it. There are two different kinds of structures. So this me duele uses duele as a verb form. A thing hurts me, or if a thing hurts him, that pronoun turns from me into le. Le duele. A Marcos le duele la rodilla. Mark's knee hurts him. Okay, bien.
Oh.
So we always talk about that body part doing the offending action of hurting, and that duele, it conjugates for the body part. Okay, if he's only got one knee that hurts, it's duele. A Marcos le duele la rodilla. If both knees hurt, a Marcos le duelen las rodillas. Bien. And we won't say sus rodillas, it'll be las rodillas. Bien, if they're both. But duelen if both knees hurt. Duele if one knee hurts. Así es. And the little pronoun tells who's feeling the pain. And that really conveys the same idea in general as tengo dolor de. But it uses a different structure to do it. So,
But you can use them kind of interchangeably.
oh, sí. Sí. But the way you conjugate it is tener will be conjugated for the person.
Right.
Right? And doler is conjugated for the body part. Because a body part causes achy, painy sensations to somebody, right? So the difference is that we do conjugate this for the human being with tener. Tengo dolor de. Tengo dolor de estómago. I have a stomach ache. I have an achy stomach. Okay. Me duele el estómago tells the same information, but just uses a different structure to do it. Are they interchangeable? Sí, más o menos. You just have to watch which, but how we conjugate it makes a difference. That's the only thing. Okay. Buena pregunta. Buena pregunta. Cuando tengo dolor de tomo. Cuando tengo dolor de estómago, tomo. ¿Qué tomo? No tomo nada. Por lo general. Espero un poquito. I just wait a little bit. Vale, hay otra idea con cuando tengo dolor de.
I'll continue my real life story while it's
Sí.
in real life. Cuando tengo dolor de rodilla, tomo Tylenol.
Eso, perfecto, sí. Muy bien, muy bien. Hay otro ejemplo aquí. Sí, Tylenol es la respuesta más frecuente aquí en Estados Unidos. Bien, sí. Okay, but can you say cuando me duele and the body part? Sí, lo mismo, same thing. It's just that we do different conjugation things here. Bien. Vale, I want to preview something that is an odd kind of tener idiom. This is not something I sent you ahead of time. This is a mini lesson. Tener que ver. It looks like you would think, if you know, you say, I know that ver means to see. Yeah. This is a preview because this is something that was in one of your listening comprehension videos. Tener que ver looks like it should mean, tener que means to have to, right? Tengo que estudiar, tengo que participar en mi clase de español. Tenemos que preparar muchas cosas para Día de Acción de Gracias. Tenemos que escuchar esta información. Mi hijo tiene que leer este libro. Tener que, have to, meaning an obligation. Something that must be done. So you would think that tener que ver would mean have to see, or maybe have to watch. Es posible. It is possible in a certain context, it could mean that, but more likely, tener que ver means to have to do, to have to do. In a different way. Okay, por ejemplo, el problema con mi carro, the problem with my car, no tiene nada que ver con el accidente. The problem with my car has nothing to do with the accident. And tener que ver, we should really add nada in here. Yeah. Esto es importante. To have nothing to do with. This is something that came up in the weekly video. No tiene nada que ver. No tiene nada que ver. Let's even include our no in there, because usually you're going to hear this in the negative sense. You may hear it without the no. Pero creo que es más frecuente con no, como una expresión negativa, ¿sí? El problema con mi carro no tiene nada que ver con el accidente. The problem with my car has nothing to do with the accident. So meaning I had this problem with my car before I did the fender bender or whatever, lo que sea, whatever it might be. Bien, sí? This is kind of an odd expression. It might not be something that you have to be able to speak using. It's a good one to know for listening comprehension, because people will throw that around from time to time. Sí. Cindy. Oh, you're on mute. Perdón.
Would there be a reason to ever use hacer in there? No tiene
No.
No?
No.
Or
Yeah, to have nothing to do. And to do is translated as hacer, but no. So we use this expression when we're talking about something not being related to something else, you know? So yeah, but we will not use hacer here. It will be ver.
Yeah.
No puedo decirles el porque. I cannot tell you the why behind that. It just is. Yeah, there is. Don't look for a reason, because you'll be very dissatisfied. Bien, okay. So often with a negative, we'll try to find an example for that in the listening comprehension thing, because I think there were 2 or 3 things. So you may hear this, that there are, this little list I gave you to practice with tener idioms is certainly not exhaustive. There are lots, and things will just come up here and there, but what are the most frequent? The most frequent are the hambre, hunger, right? Sed, thirst, frío, calor, maybe sueño, all of those. So there are lots and lots and lots of tener idioms. And this one is maybe one that is good for listening comprehension. You don't have to really practice speaking with it, but it's a good one to know to have in your back hip pocket. Yeah. Okay. A ver. Let's take a look. I want to move on to something a little bit different. And oops, I need to pull up my little screen here. I want to take a quick look at a couple of things through here. Because one of them is going to highlight something I want us to work on a little bit today together. And this will not be a small group thing. There were lots of little tidbits. I asked you to go back and take a look at un momentito. Gotta take off my share for a moment. I asked you to take a look at the taste test thing again. There are a few little tidbits I want to point out about the taste test video because they were kind of informative about just little snippets that you hear. That it's kind of helpful to know. Okay, momentito. Got to get to my little time marker here. And you got to really listen for it, but kind of helpful to know. Okay.
Limonada, agua con limón. Bien, bien. Primero, fácil.
Oh, I think we missed
¿Es
it.
agua con limón?
Sí, señora.
Sí, señora. Sí, señora. When she gets a guess right, there are a bunch of little places in here where you hear in the background her dad saying to her, "Sí, señora." Yes, ma'am. If she were a guy, it would be "Sí, señor." Yes, sir. When you're affirming that somebody got something right, like they got their guess right, or they made a comment and you're like commenting, "You got that right." You'll sometimes hear people throwing out, "Sí, señor." Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. So these are little tidbit things I'm going to point out here.
¿En serio?
Último intento.
¡Ay! ¿Qué es esto?
Oh, and I should put my closed captions
Alcohol no
on.
es. ¿Qué? ¿En serio?
Ni cerca. Ni cerca. She's guessing here about Tonica, and he responds, ni cerca. Cerca means nearby. Ni cerca, not even close.
Oh.
That little ni word, ni, ni, repeated twice is neither nor. No tengo ni café ni té. I have neither tea nor coffee. No tomo ni café ni té. I don't drink either tea or coffee. But this little ni word can be useful. Sometimes it's not doubled like ni café ni té. Sometimes it's said just once. Ni cerca, not even close. Is something that people will say. These are fragments, tidbits. They're not really grammar lessons. Let's listen for one other little tidbit. We're listening for a really often used word, o sea.
Chicos, esto tiene olor a alcohol. O sea, literalmente.
Ese tiene olor. It has a smell. Olor es smell. Este tiene olor a alcohol. O sea, literalmente. O sea is two words. O sea. Sea is a subjunctive form of ser. O sea is used a lot to say it's what they call a muletilla. A little crutch. It's one of the little words that has, or a little group of words here, because it's o sea. But it'll be said as if it were one word, o sea. Maybe, like, I mean. Those all might be translations for o sea. Tiene olor a alcohol, o sea, literalmente alcohol. It smells like alcohol, like literally, like, all right. That way of using like in English is o sea. And o sea is a word that will be thrown in like salt and pepper in conversations. Okay, so be aware when you hear somebody saying o sea, don't look for a deep grammatical meaning behind o sea. It's just one of the little crutch words that people frequently use, or crutch phrases. We're going to hear a couple things about lo, which I want to talk about today. A ver. Couple of examples with lo. Oh, you're going to hear o sea again. Ay. Her
Carolyn,
quick. Sí.
A quick question about rico. So that means like rich in flavor.
Sí, eso. Yeah. Exactamente. Rico es rich, as in has a lot of money. Rico es rich tasting, good, but we would probably, rico, a better translation for rico is tasty, yummy, delicious. It's a delicious, when something tastes good and somebody really likes it, they'll use the word rico. Okay.
Qué rico.
Qué rico. How
Me
yummy.
gusta. Nesquik.
Me gusta. And notice whenever we say I like it, English needs the word it, because we're going to talk about it after we're done with this. English needs the word it for the like structure. Spanish does not ever use the word it in the I like expression, because there is no like verb. Yeah. So me gusta is I like it, meaning one thing or an activity. Yeah. But the word it will never get translated with the like structure in Spanish. It just never does. So, okay, vale.
Sí, señora.
Sí, señora,
Es,
yes,
bueno,
ma'am.
Nesquik, o sea, leche con chocolate.
O sea, came up again. Es bueno, Nesquik, o sea, leche. That is, o sea, here means that is milk with chocolate, meaning she's defining what Nesquik is in case you don't have that brand in the country you live in. Okay, so o sea might mean lots of little different things. It might mean like in English. It might mean that is chocolate, milk with chocolate. Okay.
Este me gusta. Este me lo quiero quedar.
Me lo quiero quedar. Here, the lo is literally the word it, which we're going to move to very, very quickly. Me lo quiero quedar. I want it to remain with me. I want to keep it. I want it to stick with me. I want to keep this one. I want to keep it to myself. Me lo quiero quedar. Okay. And she's going to have very soon another lo come up. We're looking for the lo word, the it word. And with me gusta, there is no it word, but with these other ones, you will hear an it word. It's coming up
Lo
really
quiero.
soon.
Yo sé. Ay,
¿Qué es?
yo lo conozco. Yo lo
Yo lo conozco.
conozco. Yo
Yo lo conozco. I recognize it. I know it, meaning I recognize it. I have had this before. Okay, she doesn't use saber because you would think, well, wait a minute, isn't that information? No, she's saying she's tasted this before and she recognizes it. See, yo lo conozco. I know this. I've had it before, meaning that. Lo conozco. And the lo is an it, and it actually is referring to the drink. Yo lo conozco. Bien. Bien. So we're going to take a look very, very soon at this lo word, but we're just going to check out a couple little odd things here. Okay. Una cosita. One,
No,
ooh,
no, no, no.
Este tiene 38% de alcohol.
38% de alcohol. Sí,
Sí.
38 proof. Wow.
sí, se nota, es literalmente alcohol.
Se nota. Se nota is a good phrase to have in your back pocket, or even maybe this one I would say to use yourself. Se nota. Notar is to notice something. Okay. Oh, it looks like the word note. And in very flowery English literature, you might say, oh, she noted the color of the sky at this time of day. Yeah. Okay. Se nota means that you notice something. And se nota here is used as a kind of an impersonal phrase. Se nota, and those two have to go together. Se nota means you notice it. Se nota es literalmente alcohol. You really notice this is alcohol. Se nota talks about anybody in general. See? So, se nota. Bien. Okay. One other little lo phrase before we actually get to some meat here. Because I think this is a
Jengibre.
little.
Entonces no me gusta este té. Además, tiene leche.
Sí, sí, este con leche.
A mí no me gusta el té con leche. Me gusta el té, me gusta el café con leche, pero no me gusta el té con leche. Horrible.
Oh, momento. I think I missed it. I got my timer set a little bit poorly here. Let's try it again.
Té
Sí.
es el chai latte tea.
Sí.
Sí. Jengibre. Ugh. A mí no me gusta el jengibre.
No, okay.
Entonces no
I
me
got my
gusta
time marker wrong.
este
She
té.
had a lo único, and I can't find where it is now. Uy, ¿dónde está? Perhaps it's a little bit further on. She had one use of lo único, lo único. And I think I got my time marker a little bit messed up. Maybe it is in this
El
one.
último.
Sí.
El último is the last one, but there's another one where she uses instead of último, único. Ooh, maybe I should look for the translations because that might help me to pinpoint it a little bit better. Bien. Okay. No lo puedo encontrar. I cannot find it. So we're just going to take that off for a minute. Bien. She has somewhere in there also lo único. And there it doesn't mean it alone. Lo único means the only thing. Okay. So what's the point of that? The point of this is that lo can sometimes mean it, and lo can sometimes be used with a describer, an adjective to say the only one. So if you hear it as lo único means the only one. See? Or the only thing, perdón. Mejor explicación, better explanation. Lo único, the only thing. Lo único que sé es que es semana de día festivo. The only thing I know is that it's a holiday week. See? Okay. Lo can be, so bottom line is, lo can be used in a lot of different ways. And pronouns are a real problem. They are. Some of you are commenting, these pronouns are a pain in the neck. Well, they are.
Yeah.
Así es. So it is. And a lot of times they're used in one context or another. And you're like struggling with, wait a minute, I thought I knew what this word meant. But let's take a look at some of these little pronouns. And these are going to be pronouns that in general are object pronouns, and even more specifically, direct object pronouns. Bien? Okay, direct object pronouns, and we'll practice with them in just a little bit. A pronoun is just a tiny word that stands in for a bigger, longer word. Okay, that's what a pronoun means. A noun is a person, place, or thing. A pronoun is a teeny tiny word that stands in for a longer term. All right. It makes our communication shorter. That's why it exists as a pronoun. All right. If you want to talk about your neighbor's new car, a typical conversation will not sound like this. My neighbor got a new car. His new car is red. The car is a sports car. The car is a real turbocharged, it's a muscle car. It's a muscle car. It's hard in English to avoid the word it. Okay. The reason for the word it is so that I don't have to keep saying car, 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 car. All right, because you sound kind of silly just saying car, 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 car over and over again when you're referring back. But you have to say car first. You know, my husband walks in the door and I say, well, do you have it? They'll look at me like, what's wrong with you? Somebody just walks with no reference whatsoever. Do you have it? He doesn't know what I mean by it. I can't expect him to know what I mean by it. We have to mention the object first. We have to mention that thing or that person first. And then you know that you can substitute, it is substituting for that thing. Okay. So, first thing we need to know is that, first of all, there are lots of different pronouns. So the difficulty is sometimes pronouns talk about who is doing something. And sometimes pronouns talk about who is receiving a particular action. All right. So right now we are not talking about subject pronouns. I, you, he, she, it, they, we. Those are subject pronouns. They tell who does something. These are pronouns that tell what receives action. That's why they're called direct objects. All right. And they stand in for something or someone that you don't want to keep repeating as the conversation progresses so that you don't have to be repetitive and sound like some knuckle dragger. Yeah. All right. So the pronouns that stand in for a noun. Now, the ones that most English speakers don't have too much difficulty with are these, the me, te, nos. Well, if you were in Spain, you would use this os is the you guys pronoun. But outside of Spain, you will not hear os. You'll only hear that from Spaniards. But the me, te, nos, those son obvios. They are obvious. Yeah, something is being done to me, to you, to us. So we don't get those confused. So obvious, they're obvious, but we do get these confused. Yeah, lo, la, los, las. And I'm going to tell you right ahead of time, lo is, besides being obviously, it ends in an it must be masculine. Yes, it is. But sometimes lo is neuter. Sometimes. Like lo único, the only thing. Yeah. Lo combined with a describer, we'll use the English word thing. Lo difícil de aprender español es la gramática. The hard thing about learning Spanish. Lo difícil de aprender español es la gramática. Lo difícil, the hard thing. ¿Sí? Lo fácil del español es la pronunciación. The easy thing about Spanish. So there, lo is what they call a neuter. It's talking about an abstract. Okay. Or when we use it as lo que. So this is a lo que. Lo que means what? When it's not being used in a question. Yeah. What outside of the context of a question. But as a direct object pronoun for what we're going to practice right now. So know that lo can be kind of a neuter, meaning it's talking about an abstract thing we can't peg with gender. Outside of that, the lo will be for masculine, yeah, but it might be referred to a person, to say him, or it might refer to a thing, saying it, or it might refer to you if the you is the formal you, that usted I concept of you, okay? Somebody you don't address on a first name basis. And the feminine version of that lo word will be la. So la might refer to a female person, right? To say her, and it might refer to a thing that is feminine to mean it. It might again refer to you in that formal you, usted, idea, if the you is a female, okay? So, lo and la, lo and la, and easy to make in plural, it's los and las, okay? Now notice in English, them refers to either people or things. Yeah, but, you know, in English, it doesn't do that with lo. We have to distinguish between human, him, and it, an object, yeah? In English, we don't discern that between objects and people. Interesante. But los y las. And these words, lo, la, los y las, these are the direct object pronouns. They might be people, they might be things. Depende, it really depends on the context. So where word order is a big deal is that word order in English is very different. I see her, right? I am doing the action. There's the object or the subject pronoun, tells who's doing. I see, right? I see her, and her is receiving the action. Her is the object pronoun. In this case, her happens to be a person. She's still an object pronoun. Okay. But it's subject, verb, object in English. Okay. In Espanol, in Spanish, that her word is going to come right up in front of the verb in a plain old sentence, something stating a fact. And you know what? You may not even hear a subject. In English, we have to have subject telling who does it, the verb, and the object. In Spanish, it's going to be the object pronoun and the verb. And the verb is all rolled together in many cases. So you may hear no subject at all because the verb tells the whole story in Spanish, or it can tell the whole story. So I see her becomes just la veo. Can you say yo la veo? Sure, you can say yo la veo, but most people won't say the yo. They won't, because veo says everything they need to know. So they're going to drop the word yo. And you should generally drop the word yo, unless you're being like super specific. Okay? Bien. Like, por ejemplo, wow, you can't see her? Yo la veo. I see her. Yeah, in English, we would say, I see her. Why can't you see her? Okay, then you might include the yo, but most people will drop the yo. La veo, la veo. Her, I see. This is literally the way their brain pattern works for people who are native Spanish speakers. Their brain pattern already starts to think about who's receiving the action before they talk about the activity. That really is the way the brain process works. La veo, la veo. Bien. Vale. Okay. So let's look at some examples with the me, the you, the us. the obvious ones. Okay. Llamar, to call. My friend calls me. And here we are going to need a subject. My friend, mi amigo. Oh, mi amigo calls me.
Me llama.
Me llama. Mi
Huh?
amigo me llama. Mi amigo me llama. My friend calls me, and the llama has to look at who's doing it, which is mi amigo. Mi amigo me llama. Me llama. My friend, me, he calls. This is the way the native Spanish speakers' brain pattern actually works. They're already thinking a step ahead to who's receiving the action when they say that. Mi amigo me llama. All right. But that llama is conjugated for amigo, right? Llama is not conjugated for yo. I'm not doing the calling, right? Mi amigo me llama. Bien. Okay. This is for a declarative sentence. Now, this me word, this receiving the action of the phone call, may go in different places if it's not a declarative sentence. Declarative sentence just says, oh, this is a fact. It's happening. My friend is calling me. Oh, look, my phone is ringing. Mi amigo me llama. My friend is calling me. Bien. If we have a command like call me, you're telling somebody do it, then that pronoun will often get attached. So just be aware of this. Where that little word me, receiving the action, goes might depend on what kind of a sentence it is. If it's a plain sentence of fact, me in front of the verb, you can be sure that will work that way. But if it's something like you're telling somebody, hey, do it, an affirmative, meaning a go do it command, it becomes this, llámame, call me, call me. Then that could very well will be tagged on to the end of the verb, like English. Yeah. A command, a saying, go do it, that will be literally attached to the end of the verb. See, Cindy.
Llama. Why am I thinking that a command, the second A changes?
Llámame is a friendly command. Somebody you're on a first name basis with. Let's say you're talking to the secretary at your doctor's office and you want a phone call when your test result comes in, yeah? And they they don't have your most current phone number. And so you write it down and then you say to the secretary that you don't really know and you're being polite, then it'll be llámeme. Commands in Spanish do this many things. It is a pain. They do one thing if it's a go do it. They do something different when it's a don't do it. And commands depend on if you're talking to somebody in a tú context, buddy context, versus an usted context, a not buddy context, a formal or polite context, or ustedes, you guys, talking to a group. So commands are kind of a big can of worms. Yeah. Para que sepan. So you know. So just so you know, sometimes you will see those me words or te, not te, any of those pronouns, me, te, nos, lo, la, los, las, sometimes they do get tagged on. When they get tagged on quite often, not always, quite often, it's a command situation. Para que sepan, so you know. But this, to just talk about what is really going on, this is going to be the usual context, a plain old declarative sentences. See, Larry. Oh, and you're on mute.
Sorry, I'm not quite clear on the llámame versus the llámame.
Llámame is for somebody you call by their first name. You
Okay.
say to your kid, you want your kid home at a certain time, or you want to know when your kid gets to this appointment. Llámame. Call me, because it's your kid. And you talk with them on a tú basis. Yeah. But if I talk to the secretary behind the desk at my doctor's office, and that secretary doesn't necessarily know me, llámeme. I'm just being polite. Llámeme.
So the command isn't like, I think of command as do this, but like in a more stronger, meaner way, but that's
No,
not really.
not a meaner
how it
way.
is.
It's a formal command to somebody that you would address as usted versus a familiar command, meaning
Okay, got
somebody
it.
you would address as tú. And Spanish does slightly different verb conjugations, you could say. So, commands take more specific conjugation forms. English, it's just the verb. Eat, call, tell, whatever. Sí. Dime.
Marilyn, the may at the end of the verb, does it also happen with the lay and the la at the same time?
It
And is it
will.
only when it's a
Sí.
command?
Yeah.
And is it only when it's a command or other times too?
Okay, por ejemplo, you're talking to that same secretary at the doctor's office, and you want to say, they need to call your husband. Okay, they don't need to call me, they need to call my husband. Call him would become llámelo. Llámelo. Llámelo, call him. Yeah. Or you say to your kid, call your dad, call him. Llámalo. Llámalo because it's your kid. And you talk to him on a tú basis. The command takes a slightly different form of llama versus llame. Llame is a formal, polite command. It's just acknowledging if you're addressing the person as an usted type you versus a tú type you. Okay, vale? But we're going to operate mainly with these like plain sentence things, like meaning a statement of fact rather than a command. But I just show you these commands so that you know these little pronouns of me, te, nos, lo, la, los, las, they might get attached. And quite often when they're attached because it's a command of somebody saying, go do this. Okay. Let's take another plain sentence, meaning just a statement of fact, something that is actually happening. My friend calls me, mi amigo me llama. Let's say your spouse loves you, your spouse, which might be tu esposo or tu esposa, right? Depending. So let's just make it esposo. Tu esposo loves you. And it has to become your spouse, you, he loves. Tu esposo
Okay.
Ama?
te ama.
Ama.
We're using amar. Te ama. Tu esposo te ama. Tu esposo te ama. Tu esposo te ama. Te ama. You he loves. You he loves. That is the way their brain process works in native Spanish speakers. They're thinking already of who receives the action before they say the verb. Tu esposo te ama. Te ama. Okay? Bien. Okay. O, por ejemplo, invitar. Invitar, invitar, to invite. Okay? The neighbors invite us. And in English, it's subject, neighbors, invite, verb, and the object, in this case, is a group of people, us. Okay? In Spanish, the word order is going to have to be our subject. In this case, we are going to say the neighbors, los vecinos. This time we are naming them, los vecinos. And now we've got to already plug in whoever is getting the action. Who's getting the action is that nos word. Los vecinos nos
Invitan.
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 Invitan. Yeah, it won't be invitamos because we're not doing the inviting. The neighbors are doing the inviting. So it's los vecinos invitan. Los vecinos nos invitan. Los vecinos nos invitan. The neighbors, us, they're inviting. Okay.
Mhm.
Vale. Bien. Okay.
Sí.
Vale. So, in a plain sentence that declares or states a fact, which is what these are not commands here, we have the object, whatever or whoever receives the action coming in front of the verb. And that goes contrary to the way our English speaking brains think in terms of word order. Okay, so metenos always talks about people, but remember the lo, la, los, or las might be talking about people. It might be talking about things because direct objects can be either people or things. Okay, a ver. Let's take a look at some examples. Algunos ejemplos. Y voy a engrandecer aquí estas fotos. I'm going to make these bigger para que puedan ver so that you guys can talk. So we're going to take the focus away from mete and nos, and we're going to put the emphasis on the lo, la, los, or las. Bien. Let's use here, aquí por ejemplo, mi cajita. I need to get my little box. Aquí, okay. Tomás. Tomás saluda. He says hi. That's what saluda means. Says hi. Greets. He says hello to. In English, we phrase this verb saludar as to say hello to, or you might say greet. Okay. Tomás saluda. See? Por ejemplo. Now I've got to name the person first. In order to use a pronoun, I have to first kind of know beforehand who they're talking about. It's like this example of my husband walks in the door. I can't just look at him and say, do you have it? Because he just walked in the door. He doesn't know what it means. You have to talk about the person first. So if I start this off with Tomás, Tomás ve, he sees. Tomás ve a Carla. Tomás ve a Carla. He sees Carla. And he says hi to her. Now I can say her. I know that he sees Carla, but I don't want to say Tomás sees Carla. He says hi to Carla. He talks with Carla. I don't want to keep saying Carla over and over and over again. I want to take that little pronoun her and pop it in. So Tomás says hi to her becomes Tomás
La.
la saluda. La saluda. He greets her. He says hi to her. Tomás la saluda. Okay.
Marilyn,
Sí.
if you're just saying, like, describe this picture, could you say él la habla? He talks to her. He's speaking to her. Like, say I don't know who they are.
There's
just
going to be a
saying he
little
talks to her.
twist. He talks to her. To her is a little different. To her, not just her, but to her has to be this word, le. Ah, here is the word that we just don't like. We'll talk about it, not this week yet, but yeah. Okay.
Forget I asked that.
No, está bien. It's okay. He greets her and he talks to her. Ah, la saluda y le habla. And he talks to her. To her is the word le. Hablar needs that word le. It cannot use the la. Okay, when could I use la? I can't think of a good example with la. Not with this particular verb. Pero, por ejemplo, oh, Spanish. I speak it. Español. Lo hablo. Lo hablo. There, yeah, I speak it. Yeah, lo hablo. But hablar, generally, when you're talking about people, we'll take these indirect. The examples we're practicing today are direct object pronouns. So what's different? Direct object pronouns. Oh, this is terrible. It's using the word to define the word. It directly receives the action. Yeah. Let me give you a different example. I'm giving her $1. I'm giving her $1. My little grandkid, I'll give her $1 for probably now I got to give her $5 $5 bill for an ice cream. Yeah. But pero, okay. We look at that verb give. What am I giving? I'm giving my grandkid $1. What am I giving? I'm giving $1, $1 bill. Yeah. So the dollar bill is the direct object. If you say, so we look at the verb give, and we have to ask who or what connected directly to that verb. What am I giving? A piece of money, yeah? $1 bill. That's a direct object. I'm giving it to her, okay? What am I giving? The $1 bill. I'm not giving her away. Yeah, I'm giving something to her. And that's why the le habla thing is indirect. I am saying some words are coming out of my mouth, but to that person. So indirect objects indirectly receive, that's how they are indirect. If I give my grandkid $1, the thing I am giving is the $1 bill. But I'm giving that $1 bill to my grandkid. Okay. And that grandkid is indirect. But the thing I'm giving is the direct object. Here with Tomás la saluda, who is he greeting? It happens to be a human being, because you generally don't walk up to a house and say, hello, house. Oh, you might, but you don't usually. Yeah. So here is the example of when we take that verb saluda, greet, who are they greeting? It's good talking about a person. The direct object happens to be a person, not a thing. Yeah. Bien. Okay. Vale. Let's move on. Let's talk about la bolsa. The bag. The bag. Oh, the bag. I have it. I have it. ¿Cómo se dice I have it if we're talking about a bag of groceries?
La tengo.
La tengo. Sí. La tengo. La tengo. Okay. Vale. If I take one item out of that bag and it's a bunch of bananas, kind of depends. If you're talking about them as los plátanos, los plátanos, oh, I'm buying them. Hey, look at those bananas. Mira esos plátanos. I'm buying them. ¿Cómo se dice? If we're talking about plátanos, ¿cómo se dice I'm buying them?
Los compros.
Los compro.
Compro, sí.
Los compro. Los compro. I'm buying them. You're on the phone. You know that time when you call the house because you're not sure what you forgot on your grocery list? Sí. Tengo en mi lista, mira, tengo en mi lista manzanas, cebollas y bueno, quiero, sí, ¿quieres algo más? You want something else? Sí, plátanos. Plátanos, aquí están. Sí, los compro. I'll buy them. I'll buy them. Los compro. Plátanos. But the los is talking about plátanos. Okay, ¿vale? Then we have to mention them first. Okay. Vale. Preparo espaguetis. Preparo espaguetis para Luis. Preparo espaguetis para Luis. ¿Cómo se dice he eats them? He eats them, and it's los espaguetis. He eats them.
Él come.
El come is great, but now we want to say them.
Them.
He eats.
Los.
Él los come. Él siempre los come. He always eats them. Él siempre los come. Sí, él siempre. Let's just add in the extra information of when. When is siempre is answering the when. Él siempre los come. Él siempre los come. He always them he eats. That's the word order for a standard declarative sentence. What is he eating? Spaghettis. It's an item. It's a thing. Them he eats. Direct object. Los come. Los come. Los come. Los compra. La tengo. Me refiero a la bolsa. I'm referring to, I mean, the whole bag. Sí, la tengo aquí. La saluda. He greets her. Bueno, perfecto. Vale. Vamos a continuar. Let's talk about things receiving action. Bien. Okay. We're going to use las, los, or las. Bueno, perfecto, perfecto. I'm going to use disfrutar. Disfrutar, enjoy. Disfruto. Disfruto. I enjoy. I enjoy. I go to the park every. I go to the park every day. I got to mention the object I'm talking about first. Voy al parque cada día. Voy al parque cada día. I go to the park every day.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. The it is talking about el parque, right? ¿Sí?
Sí.
Vale, ¿cómo se dice I enjoy it? I take advantage of it.
Lo disfruto.
Lo disfruto. Lo disfruto. Let's say instead of el parque, I want to talk about, en el parque hay una fuente con agua. Hay una fuente. ¿Qué es una fuente? Aquí tenemos una fuente. Una fuente con agua que va.
Fountain. Fountain.
Sí, sí, fountain, sí. En el parque hay una fuente. And I want to ask somebody, do you see it?
Ves. Oh,
En el parque hay una
La-
fuente.
la ves.
¿La ves? ¿La ves? You see it? You'll probably do that. ¿La ves? Bien. Okay. Do you see it? If we're talking about la fuente, it has to become la. ¿Sí? Bien. Okay. Otro ejemplo. Otro ejemplo. Mm. Las copas. Hay copas de vino en la mesa. I'm just saying what's on the table, right? See? Hay copas de vino en la mesa. The women are drinking them. Las mujeres. And if we're talking about alcohol, we're probably going to use our beben, right? And that tells what the women are doing. But if I want to say if I want to mention the things they're drinking, hay copas de vino en la mesa, las mujeres.
Lo.
Las.
It could be lo, but probably here if I'm using copas, glasses.
I was thinking of vino.
Las beben. Sí, vino. Okay. Buen ejemplo. Good example. So, how is this intercambiable? Is this interchangeable? Es posible. If you're thinking vino, if you're thinking just wine, vino, las mujeres lo beben. The women are drinking it, meaning the wine, el vino, right? But, sí. So, it could be either way. Depende, sí? Okay. That could go either way. Okay.
One,
Sí,
one
sí.
quick question.
Sí, sí,
So
dime.
you say copa instead of vaso with wine?
With wine, generally, sí. Por lo general, copa. A
Okay.
wine glass is generally going to be referred to as a copa. Think goblet. Cup, yeah. Vaso is for, un vaso es para té. Té helado, iced tea. Un vaso es para agua. Vaso is for water, sí, es para agua. Un vaso de soda, un vaso de refresco, soda, yeah. Gaseosa, yeah, the bubbly stuff. Vaso. Vino, por lo general, una copa. Usually we use the word copa with vino. Así, that's just what they use. Okay. Buena pregunta. Last examples here. Last couple examples. We can use el, la, los, or las. El pickleball. Sí. Es un deporte muy popular aquí en Arizona, en todos los Estados Unidos. El pickleball es muy popular. El pickleball es muy popular. Es muy popular. Bueno, And so I already know I'm talking about el pickleball. ¿Cómo se dice? They're playing it. They're playing it. They're playing it right now.
Los.
Ellos.
Ellos.
And pickleball is a thing. It's
Oh.
a sport.
Lo.
Lo
juegan.
lo juegan. Ellos lo juegan ahora en la cancha. They're playing it now on the court. Ellos lo juegan ahora en la cancha. Lo juegan ahora en la cancha. They're playing now ahora en la cancha. On the court. En la cancha. Bien? Okay. Lo juegan. They're playing. ¿Sí? Es así. Okay. Un ejemplo final. And you'll get a little bit of a homework thing to kind of get an explanation about this for later in the week. Pero ahorita. Ok. A ver, aquí tenemos un pájaro y un nido. Nido es nest. ¿Sí? ¿Sí? El nido es la casita del pájaro, ¿no? El nido es la casita del pájaro. Bueno, sí, no es un término científico. El nido es la casita del pájaro. Oh, the bird builds it. El pájaro construye, or you know what? Let's make it a little bit easier verb. Let's make it makes it. In the tree, en el árbol. He makes it in the tree. It is talking about el nido. ¿Sí?
So, lo.
Lo. El pájaro lo hace en el árbol. I'm going to get just a little fancier on there. El pájaro lo hace en lo alto del árbol, en lo alto. En lo alto tells you in the tall, but you would never say in the tall in English. En lo alto means way up there. See? At the tippy top. At the tippy top, en lo alto. El pájaro lo alto en el alto del árbol. El pájaro lo hace en el árbol. He makes it in the tree. So the it is el nido because we don't want to repeat that in the next sentence over. ¿Sí? ¿Vale? Bien. And we're going to take some time the next couple of weeks to talk about these pronouns, which can really get us messed up. What I'm going to give you is I'm going to give you this little video, which is going to show you what direct objects are and little tricks to remember how to use them. And really, they have a job. The direct object pronouns tell who or what receives the action immediately, directly. Yeah, if I give a buck to my grandkid, I am not giving my grandkid away to some stranger. She is not the thing I'm giving. Yeah. So that's not direct, the granddaughter, but the dollar bill is. Okay? So it talks about what a direct object is and how to tell what a direct object is and what they are in Spanish, but the word order is different. So you'll get that little video to help you. Bien, we did not get time to talk about our
Pero cuando vos
design video. So that's pretty much a long one. I'll take any questions you had from that next week. I am assuming lots of people are super, super busy this week. See? With company or dinner or both or that and cleaning and everything else. So I don't want to give a ton of work to do when I know you're spending time with family and friends and doing other stuff because of the holiday. So I'm going to say we'll take any questions because this was a long listening video from last week. And instead of giving you a listening video, I'm going to give you the grammar video on the el, la, los, las direct objects. And I think we'll call that good enough for the week because of people being busy with the holiday. See? Bien?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Todo bien? And we'll go over any questions you had on just the listening video there for next week. So do kind of save that, kind of listen to it again, but again, you won't have to listen to something brand new with the interior design video just for fun listening. See? Bien? Okay. Todo bien? All good?
Bien, gracias.
Bueno, de nada, de nada. Ok, espero que ustedes tengan un día feriado muy fantástico. I hope you have a really great holiday. Many of you will probably be celebrating the Thanksgiving holiday, el Día de Acción de Gracias. Día de Acción de Gracias. Y yo
¿Y
tengo
tú?
tengo que preparar un montón de comida. I've got to fix a ton of food. Un montón de comida. Tengo pastel, tengo que hacer, tengo que hornear los pasteles, un pastel de manzana, el pavo, claro, sí, muchas salsas, verduras de todo tipo y tengo un montón de cosas que hacer. I've got a ton of things to do. Ok, espero que ustedes disfruten del día feriado. I hope you enjoy the holiday. Y nos vemos el lunes. We'll see you guys on Monday. ¿Bien?
Sí.
¿Bien?
Tengo buen el Día de Gracias.
Día de Acción de Gracias. What a long thing for
de
Thanksgiving. Día de Acción de Gracias. Día de Acción de Gracias. Sí, así es. Sí, bien. Perfecto. Muy bien. Gracias. Muchísimas
Hasta
gracias.
Adiós.
Y cuídense.